YouTube Ozzy and the Goat House is back with our updated power rankings heading into week 12 of the NFL season. We're here every Tuesday morning with this video. Excited about this one this week as we're getting closer to the playoffs. Next video is going to be our weekly picks, so hopefully you can join us for that. Score predictions tomorrow. Loads of content here every single week covering the NFL, so join us, like, subscribe, turn notifications on, follow us on Twitter. A lot going on there. Always talking with you guys. Liquid IV is now 30% off for a short time with code GOAT. GLD Shop, always 33% off. Rocking the Eagles chain from them. We have a giveaway going on with them. Links pinned in the comments for anything I just rattled off there. On to the power rankings. If you're new, these aren't, playoff or Super Bowl odds or predictions. They're based on how teams look, how they are playing right now. Wins and losses and record definitely matter. They aren't everything, but they do play a big part. A lot of it is eye test for me. Panthers remain at number 32. Shouldn't really be much of a surprise there. The Patriots were on a bye, but they moved down a spot. Really, the two reasons for that, they haven't been playing well at all, but we're on a bye, so they didn't lose. But team that was ranked 31 won this week, and actually the Patriots will play them this week, so that's pretty interesting. And there they are, the New York Giants, who had a pretty good outing. I mean, impressive that they're able to kind of step up and, given the circumstances, and win that game. It just seems like they have that matchup favor. They're the matchup kind of favors them in that Commanders battle there. So it does look like head-to-head they are better than the Commanders, safe to say that. But still have struggled a lot this year, so it's hard to move them up a ton. But they do have some players that are, Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence. These players are playing very, very well. So, a lot of good young players. So I'm still excited about the future. Just kind of a sloppy year here. But I guess trending in the right direction after last week. 29 to Bears, and the Bears almost moved up, even though they lost, because they completely outplayed the Lions, who are a good football team. I thought it was pretty clear cut that they outplayed them, but they lost. I mean, how do you lose if you can't win that one? Like, it's tough to move you up at the same time. So, but Fields looked better. Is that going to be a consistent thing? Can he consistently stay healthy? Defense has been better. It kind of let them down at the end, but I guess we'll see going forward here. But you got to hang on to those ones, obviously. Titans are down 3 spots. They look like, the away Titans look like you can put them at number 32. Luckily, they're pretty decent at home. But, if they played home every week, you'd probably be talking them in the top 16, maybe better than that. They've just been playing really bad football away, so that's the tough part with the Titans. They're down 3 spots, 28. Sloppy one against the Jags. 27. The Cardinals are going to stay put. They're playing better football with Kyler Murray. They got a win 2 weeks ago. Last week, they put up a fight with the Texans, created some turnovers. You got to capitalize on those things. I also think the officials haven't been loving the Cardinals the last 2 weeks. Not that really played a part in the power rankings, but just something I would like to point out. But they're at 27. 26, the Jets down 2 spots. They are playing very bad right now. I'm not going to blame the defense at all, but even the defense isn't playing great. Not as good as the earlier weeks. They were getting lucky on some of the weeks they were winning, and that kind of ran out, and they're playing to where they're at. It's not a good football team right now. They're down 2 spots, 26. Falcons actually moved up a spot while being on a bye. They overall haven't been playing great football, but it felt like the Jets belonged at 26 in that range, so Falcons got some help there. That's where it kind of gets a little tricky, too, because the Commanders, with that pathetic loss against the Giants, you would think like they're deserving of moving down more than 1 spot, and they definitely are. Fortunately for them, there's not a lot of, where are you going to put them? We're going to move the Falcons up, 2 spots on a bye. The Commanders, not that head-to-head means everything, but not even close to everything, but they did beat them head-to-head as well. Jets had moved down. Cardinals lost. Titans are playing really bad football. So Commanders pretty fortunate there. Was disappointed, with them against their turnover machines. They're inconsistent. They got a problem with the Giants. I guess man coverage and blitz they can't handle. That's a problem. So wasn't thrilled with the Commanders this week. 6 turnovers, pretty ridiculous. The Packers are up 5 spots to 23, so it was a pretty good outing. Yeah, they were a little fortunate. Some drop touchdowns and a Eckler falling down on his own and fumbling the ball. So they were maybe a lot fortunate there, but I still like what I'm seeing. I'm seeing improvements. Even the Steelers game, maybe they were unlucky in the Steelers game 2 weeks ago. Felt like they played a little bit better, but kind of ended the game with some turnovers. In this game, they kind of did the same thing, but without the turnovers, and they executed and they created turnovers. So, they started the year. Young players pretty impressive. They could be sneaky, and then they kind of got figured out. Teams are able to game plan for them. They got worse, and now they're kind of adjusting to that. Young players are progressing. So there are some things that I like there for the Packers. Not that I'm getting ahead of myself and say they're going to go on a run. Nothing like that, but a solid outing there for some young players. Up 5 spots to number 23. 22, the Raiders are going to stay put. They had an opportunity against Dolphins. Maybe they played them a little tougher than I thought. The Bucs at 21. They're just outmatched by the 49ers. Couldn't really get much going, but I do feel like they've been better than the teams below them, so they did not move at all. Chargers down 4 spots. They've been underwhelming. Herbert's got to carry the load. The defense has been bad. Receivers, Eckler's even been disappointing at times, but it's a team that I feel like the Chargers can beat almost anybody and lose to almost anybody. I think it's one of those teams. They're still a little, in a way, they're still a little dangerous to other teams and to themselves, apparently, with the drops and the fumble at the 1-yard line. But they're down 4 spots, number 20. Colts going to stay put. Curious to see how they do after the bye. That's an interesting game, the Colts and the Buccaneers this week. It's, Bucs at Colts. Colts are favored. They've been better away than home. They're both in the same range of the power rankings. I think everyone kind of agrees they're kind of in the same range in terms of talent, maybe. That's going to be an interesting game. That's going to be an interesting game there. So I think both aren't as good as they were earlier in the year as teams are starting to game plan for them a little more properly. That's, again, very interesting game to me. So we'll see what happens in that one. 18, Saints stay put off the bye. 17, the Rams come back and beat Seattle. Maybe a little help that Geno went down. There's definitely a chance if Geno stayed in there that the Rams win the game still. So it wasn't like clear cut. If Geno doesn't get hurt, the Seahawks win. Maybe chances are they do. But I like the Rams' adjustments in this game and the ability to come back there. Effective in the second half, pretty much everywhere. Like they did enough through the air. Royce Freeman was getting after on the ground. The defense stepped up in the second half and played very well, locked things down. So they're up 3 spots to number 17. I think they're better than their record as long as they're healthy. Bengals down 5 spots, and now you could predict that with Joe Burrow out, they're worse than 16. But again, we're trying not to predict with these. This is where they're at right now. But again, a good assumption, a good prediction they're probably going to continue to move down without Joe Burrow, but it is a talented roster, so you never know. I guess a winnable game against the Steelers this week, so we'll see. But they're down 5 spots after another loss. Burrow went down, offense had nothing, but the defense was struggling as well, which sometimes people don't realize. Offense could play a part for defense, play like a factor, I should say. So them not being able to do much on offense did kind of play a little bit of a factor, but still a disappointing outing overall. They're down 5 spots, number 16. The Broncos continue to rise. Luck's definitely been on their side with some of the turnovers the teams been having, but the Broncos also creating those and making big plays when they need them most. But they're just finding ways to win, and it's hard, especially this year. It seems like it's impossible for teams, to stay that consistent. So they're doing something right, obviously. I would like for them to stop the run better because I always worry. It's a thing with me. I always really worry about teams that are really struggle stopping a run. Like, how long will this keep up? Will they continue to rely on turnovers? So that's kind of the wait and see thing with the Broncos. But at the end of the day, they continue to win. They continue to find ways. They clutch up in big-time moments. So they're up to 15. So big-time climbers over the last few weeks. Steelers going to stay put at 14. Yeah, it's a tough loss against the Browns. Close game. They did get outplayed. But overall, they've been winning games. So was there enough to move them down below the teams that they're below? And the Broncos pretty close. So that was a pretty close one there, but I don't know if there was enough there for the Steelers because they've been finding ways to win games as well overall. 13, the Vikings down 1 spot. Another team that was maybe the hottest team in football. Tough loss on Sunday Night Football. things kind of just didn't go their way. They can't be that sloppy with the turnovers, but overall they've been a pretty decent team recently. They're down a spot to number 13. 12, the Bills get back on track. They're up 3 spots to number 12. So under Joe Brady, it seems a little bit better there, but we'll see if that will continue. Definitely, we saw a little bit of the run game. The pass game looked more like the Bills. The defense made plays. A team they lost to in week 1 of the Jets, they dominated this week. So that was good. Other teams helping them out too. So they're at number 12. Number 11, the Seahawks are down 2 spots. You'll let this one get away. I know Geno did get hurt, so we can't put a whole lot of stock into this game. But, yeah, they had it. And the Rams made adjustments and came back and won that game. They had an opportunity at the end there, good opportunity. The ref stopping the game for them for a very, very long time, and couldn't quite execute it. I don't know what happened where they just ran the ball, and then Geno said something with the headset or the play call wasn't coming through or whatever, and then they missed the field goal. So it wasn't ideal. They're down 2 spots, number 11. On the top 10, the Houston Texans are in the top 10. They're kind of rolling right now. Playing pretty well on both sides of the ball, looking like a DeMeco Ryans defense. Stroud turned the ball over a little bit, but still making big time plays, finding ways to win games. The receivers are coming alive. Tank Dell's really coming alive. So here's the thing with them. Early in the year, we could see, maybe not the first couple games, but somewhat early on, we could see they're a sneaky team. They're pretty good. Teams didn't really know how to game plan for them. It was new. Stroud was a better passer than people thought right away, so it was kind of tough to game plan for them. But now, when more of a game plan is out, they're still beating teams, but mainly what I was getting to, the run game is getting going now. So teams are kind of adjusting to them surprisingly being a pass-first team, and the run, isn't like you kind of expect them to be like a pound of football way, kind of a 49ers way. They got some of the, that staff in there. Pound the football, open up the pass, run the clock, wear the other team out. And now that teams are adjusting that they're not like that, they can be like that. They don't need to be like that, but they can be like that. So that's what I love about the Texans right now. They're really getting Singletary going. They can beat you with defense. They can beat you with pass game. And it looks like the run game's coming alive, like I was just saying. So that makes them, I called them a sneaky team all offseason, but it's making them more of a sneaky team right now. Just, will they have those hiccups? And that's the crazy thing, too. They kind of did. Like, C.J. Stroud kind of had those rookie moments. They're still winning the game. They're still winning games. So that's the good thing, I guess. They're up 3 spots into the top 10, the Houston Texans already. 9, the Dolphins up a spot. They won the game, bounce back game, kept giving the Raiders chances, was a little underwhelming. They did win. They moved up a spot. I do need to see them kind of get consistent again. We saw them be consistent earlier in the year. So yet again, I want to see them beat a good team to kind of put them up with the big boys as well. I do view them as a good team, but they gotta show me a little bit more to be up. Yeah, again, with the teams that have been beating good teams. Browns down a spot to number 8. They did win. Yes, this was a little tricky. Sometimes it'll happen where a team wins, they move down a spot. Not really a big deal. The Browns have been overall impressed with, especially with guys out. The toughness, how tough of a team they're going to be. Big win against Steelers. Like, we're not down. It's a big win. They outplayed the Steelers. They needed that win. They got it. I just, why they moved down. The Jags moved up a spot. Two teams kind of in the same boat on the season. I just, especially coming off that win with the Browns, again, little sloppy, almost gave the game away. Kind of went away from the run. The run wasn't working as much as I thought. The Jags obliterated the Titans. They played very, very well. So at this given time, two teams kind of in the same boat record-wise. Both won this week. Just felt like the Jags are just what it feels like right now is the Jags are a slightly better team. So that is why the Jags are 7 and the Browns are 8, despite the Browns getting a huge win. So that'd be the reason for that. 6 is going to be the Cowboys going to stay put. They almost went up a spot, but I don't know if the Chiefs were deserving of moving down more than a spot. Tough one for the Chiefs. A game they should win, but they did completely outplay the Eagles, I thought. But, yeah, they lost it, though. They kind of let it slip away. The receivers dropping the ball, the turnovers, and bad moments and bad situations. But still showing they're an explosive team. They're a solid, good team. The defense has been great. Defense did enough. I know they gave up some big plays to Swift and a big play to Smith in that game, but overall, this defense has been playing as good as the Chiefs' defense ever that we've seen at any time recent, and like in their really good years here. That's a tough one to let get away in the Super Bowl rematch. They're down one spot to number 5. For another team that won and moved down a spot, again, it'll happen sometimes, but yeah, again, if the Browns and the Lions, if they would have went out there and just dominated, or maybe not even dominated, just won pretty convincingly, that it'd have been impossible to move them down. But it's mainly other teams moving ahead of them rather than them moving down. But I thought the Lions got outplayed by a bit by the Bears, and they were a little fortunate to win. I think they won because they're the better team, though. I don't think they're the better team in that game, but in general, they are the better team, and they found a way at the end. But Goff was very bad. He was very sloppy in this game. They got outplayed by the Bears, at home. I don't love that happened, but I guess the positive is they won. They found a way at the end, and they played about as bad as they can play, which is not a good thing, but they play about as bad as they can play, and they still won the game. So I guess you could find some positives there. They are down a spot. Mainly two teams winning and moving down because it just felt like the Jags are better than the Browns right now, slightly while they're in the same boat. And it feels like the Niners are better than the Lions right now. They're up 2 spots, another dominant win, back-to-back. Dominant win over the Bucs. They just look like the far better team. They win with defensive playmaking ability. They win with the running playmaking ability. They win with the pass playmaking ability with Purdy and Ayuk, which was a big part of this game. So they're up 2 spots. Looking like themselves. They were a little beat up during that losing streak. That bye week definitely helped them. They're kind of getting back on track as one of the better teams in football. They need to stay healthy, but I want to say this really has nothing to do with the power rankings. Well, it kind of does, because there's times where they look like an absolute juggernaut. Like, okay, who throughout this year, who has looked like a juggernaut? I don't know if there's a sure thing juggernaut team. It feels like there's 0 juggernaut teams right now. But if you were to say, like, who displayed, like, juggernaut-like football or dominance the most this year, I'd say the Niners probably the most. Like, they're the team closest to that. But they can't go on those losing streaks, obviously. But they're kind of making their way back up to where they were and where I think they belong. They just have to go out there and do it. 2, the Ravens are going to stay put at 2. I know Burrow got hurt, but also Mark Andrews got hurt, and I don't think Lamar was right, and they still had to play a pretty tough Bengals defense, and they showed out on Thursday Night Football doing that. So the Ravens going to stay put at 2. Definitely no reason to move them down at all. And then number 1, the Eagles are going to remain at number 1, obviously. Only 1-loss team. By far the best record in football right now. They find ways to win games. They were fortunate to win this game. The Chiefs outplayed them. The Chiefs, dropped some wide open plays. Kelsey fumble, Mahomes interception. It hurts that interception as well. But, yeah, I mean, you get outplayed and you find a way to win still. It's just kind of that, winning gets kind of contagious. It's they have that winning attitude, and I guess they show up and make plays when it matters most. But they definitely did get outplayed, but it doesn't really. They won, and they're continuing to win, and they're the number 1 team right now. It's just the way it is there, and they're the team to beat. That's for sure. But yeah, still wonder about the pass defense. Not really because the pass rush, but because the coverage in the secondary. They do have big name players back there. Just maybe a little predictable with the coverages they call. So that's something that doesn't feel the same as last year, where they don't feel maybe quite as good, and the Chiefs don't feel quite as good maybe because their receivers. There's a lot of questions still. Like, the Ravens' durability is their thing. It's starting to show. Like, the Niners, it's durability is probably the thing. And the 3-game losers, like the Lions, like Goff, like, is he going to slip up like the old Goff? And can they beat the big time teams in the big moments? The Cowboys. They're playing better football right now, but yeah, can they beat the big teams in the big moments? The Jags, like, will they stay? Will that Niners game pop up against the big teams, the big moments? The Browns, are they too beat up? The Dolphins have yet to prove they can beat the good teams. The Texans, are they ready for that moment yet? But they're a little sneaky. Bills, can they get back on track under Joe Brady? So those are the questions with the teams that are supposed to be at the top here, or are at the top. And my point of all that was, it does feel like there is more weaknesses, I guess, obvious weaknesses, not a lot, but an obvious weakness for all the top teams, which usually there's not. It's like, this team, there's this dominant team, no really flaws, so it's a little different this year, but it is kind of wide open at the same time. So I do love that. But in terms of the regular season right now, and then maybe for good in the playoffs, the Eagles are definitely at the top. They've been that team. It's hard for any team to stay consistent and continue to win, and the Eagles are doing that. So that's obviously great and why they're at the top right now. So, I'm excited for Week 12, see what happens here. It's been a wild ride this year for several reasons. I think everyone's in agreement with that, but hopefully the injuries stop, though, because that's been ridiculous. I guess it comes with the sport, I guess how fast it is these days, but it's been ridiculous lately, so that's the only downside here. But we got you guys covered with our Week 12 content. Hope you join us for that. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. It's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.